Welcome to the FreeGame Producer Podcast. My name is Brian Onrea. I'm here at the Bandwidth Studios with my boy Willpower, you know what I'm saying, multi-platinum producer in the house, you know what I'm saying. We got a very, very special guest. We had this guest on episode 22. 6 years ago.
Wow.
6 years ago. You know, it was a great conversation.
I'm officially old.
So you can go back and check that episode out.
22.
She started Rap Coalition in 1992 to help rappers and artists with their contracts.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? She's helped artists for decades.
Three of them.
She had relationships with Tupac. Tupac Shakur, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Tupac, who many consider the GOAT of all time.
Absolutely.
She had a relationship with Tupac. You know, she helped careers like with Eminem.
The other GOAT.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, right?
All the GOATs are represented in my resume.
GOATs for executive GOATs.
Yeah.
Cash Money, Master P.
Yeah.
You know, she's helped artists over the years like David Banner, Bootsy. I mean, you can go on and on and on. We got a legend, and I don't consider that lightly. And we talk about giving flowers all the time. So we brought some flowers.
Yeah, let's go.
Beautiful. The red
roses. Red roses.
Red roses.
For our guest, Miss Wendy Day.
Yeah.
In the building. How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
This is so dope.
This is real dope.
I'm so happy to be here.
Listen, so we talked about the episode 20 some time ago, and that was over the phone. So this is my first time actually meeting you in person. Yes, and it means a lot because as we just introduced you, you've done so much for the culture and
Thank you.
You know, been instrumental in so many great deals and just making great business people out of it. It's amazing to be sitting here with you to be able to talk about some things, and I just want to thank you personally for coming.
It's so
and doing
funny to me to hear that. Even 30 years in, it's like I don't focus on what I've done. I focus on what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So I hear you say that, and thank you so much. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm thinking, you haven't done shit yet, Wendy. You have so much to do.
Well, listen, I mean, if there's more to come, this is crazy. Yeah. I want to jump right into
Let's do it.
The new podcast, the new show you have.
Cheat
Code. Cheat Code.
By far is one of my favorite shows right now. I feel like
we're having so much fun.
It's so dope. It's like you guys are like cutting right to it. It's no fluff. It's no cap.
It's no cap.
It's
exactly.
no cap. And it's like,
and we're three friends, so we're really comfortable with each other. And we know, like, I don't have to worry about cutting them off when they speak or, you know, am I talking too much? Am I not talking enough? It's like we're sitting around in a living room. I mean, we're not, we're in a boardroom, but it's like we're sitting around in a living room having a conversation with the camera rolling.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's dope. I mean, I wish it's one of those things that like I wish was like going on years ago.
Me too.
Because, you know,
I wish I'd thought of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't.
Listen, you got it now, and it's like I think everybody needs to tune in. Everybody, you know, we're definitely going to send our listeners and the people who watch us your way because I think it's really a awesome platform. It's like you know, some of the clips, I mean, you guys have given us ideas of things to talk about on our own show.
Beautiful.
So we ain't trying to steal stuff, but you know, it's like,
baby, steal. Do it.
Well, the questions, I think that's dope how Ferrari reads the questions all the time.
And they're real, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is like,
and now we get so many. We were talking today. We shoot on Wednesday, so I shot right before we did this. And we shot 3 episodes instead of 2. And we were joking that we're going to have to make this go to an hour because of all the questions that we're getting from people asking about the business, and they're all really good questions.
Super dope.
Yeah. That speaks to your service mentality, just to serve the people. And it seems like you've been into service
always
all this time.
Always, it's my mission.
Yeah, even talking about Tupac, it was like, how can you help? How can I think he was like in prison at the time when y'all were corresponding. So how do you feel about today's music in terms of how managers and executives can help artists get to where they want to go without getting left behind?
I have to preface that by saying I love the music today. I know a lot of my peers that are from my generation think that hip hop is dead, and I do not. I really love today's music.
That's good.
I started listening to hip hop. I'm part of the culture, right? So I started listening to hip hop in 1980. So it changed. It changes every 3 to 5 years, the music. So and now it changes even faster. So it's not weird to me for music to always be changing, and I love that. And I love how many jobs hip hop has given to people that could somewhat be unemployable any other way, you know? So it's given people income that need it and that benefit from the culture, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
In terms of managers and the behind the scenes people today, I just wish they'd study how to do it. I don't care if they study the history, and I know that I do because I care about the history, but I don't care if they know who's who in music, but I do care that they know who's who in the business. Because when you're meeting somebody and you don't know who they are and you're kind of in your mind playing them to the left, but it's somebody that is running YouTube or running Amazon Music.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge fuck up. Can I swear?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
That's a huge fuck up.
Yeah.
So if you don't know who the players are, get off the court, you know?
For sure.
And then if you don't know how the game is played, like, you wouldn't step into the NBA not knowing how to play basketball or how to take a shot or what the rules are or who LeBron is.
Fundamentals.
So why would you do that in music? You know, if you're going to be serious about this, be serious about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I've definitely seen people blow that. And a lot of people do it based on age. Like if a person is young, like you just assume they're not an executive that is like calling the shots. And so.
But they are.
They've
always been.
Yeah, exactly.
I fault my generation for that. And you guys are younger than me, so I'm not going to include you in my generation. But when newer energy and newer blood started coming into this industry, I feel like people that started when I started were like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? You don't remember? Like, you were fucking 19 when you started.
Right.
How are you going to shit on this 19-year-old for coming into the music industry?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, like it's crazy to me. And I surround myself, like everybody on my team is younger than me, because how do you stay on top of what's new and innovative if you don't keep the innovators around you?
Yeah.
And music is a young person's game. And I hate to say that because we're all aging, but it always has been and it always will be. Like the bulk of our target market is 13 to 26.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm in my late 50s. So how do I know what a 13-year-old wants to do?
Yeah,
You know, they'd be like my grandchild, you know? So I've got to surround myself with people that are in that age group, you know, people 19 to 35 to really understand the industry. And the people that I surround myself, my team is amazing. I surround myself with people that not only get it, but that care. Like there's nobody in my office that's like, oh, I'm not listening to that. It's bullshit. No, it's not bullshit.
Right.
There's a market for everything.
It is.
Everything.
Yes. So you were teaching and talking music business way before it was cool. Like,
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, it's a thing now. Like
Yeah,
people
since
like
the
there's
90s.
Listen, that like now people are.
Oh, is it cool now?
It is cool now,
Yes.
actually. Like
I am finally cool.
There it is. But the thing is, though, you know, there's a difference between the information and actually being educated from the information.
Right.
I had a friend just tell me that, so I'm kind of
Right.
rephrasing that. But
I love that. That should be a t-shirt.
But it's a real thing. It's like the thing that I'm having to figure out now, though, is there's a lot of false information. There's a lot of How do you think people should be educating themselves? Because, you know, the internet will tell you one thing. And sometimes we tend to just see something, hear it once, and then that's law. Like,
and it's not.
That's
a really bad way to learn.
Exactly. So how do you suggest, you know, people navigating in this type of environment right now?
I just feel, and I say this all the time, people have to just consume everything and figure out for themselves what's accurate and what's not. And if you're really studying something, you can tell what's bullshit and what's not. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was in college, I had a world history class, and the very first week we went in, and the instructor, I still remember it like it was yesterday, the instructor was teaching us about world history, and she was just giving us all these different facts, and I was sitting in the front taking notes because, you know, my memory's terrible, right? It always has been. So I'm sitting there taking notes, and, you know, the class was every day of the week for, I think, an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I took like a book of notes that first week, and then on Friday after at the end of the class, there was still maybe like half an hour left. And she said, I just want you all to know that everything I taught you this week was bullshit. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean? You can't do that.
Yo.
And she's like, this was to teach you to go and do research. Not one of you questioned anything that I said. And I gave you like facts that were so bogus. Like I gave you wrong dates for the revolution. I gave you like wrong dates for when Columbus discovered America. You know, so I learned from that. I learned that, wow, we can't trust even the people that we think we're supposed to trust.
That's right.
And what it taught me was when something didn't sound right, and there were plenty of things that she said where I was like, well, I thought it was 1776, but maybe it was 1774. My memory's just off.
Yeah.
You know, it taught me to go and research everything. So I pass that along to people all the time. Like, go and do the research. If somebody tells you to do something, go and see who else is doing it. Learn from those of us that have banged our heads so you don't have to bang your head.
I love research, and I love how on the weekends you give the statistics and all that stuff.
Saturday.
On your Instagram.
Yeah,
and speaking
big
of
data
that,
driven.
Speaking of that, I want to jump over into some producer talk because
good. Okay.
6 years ago on the show we had some producer talk, and it seems like the climate has changed.
It has.
Now I want to throw something
really oversaturated.
Throw something out there. That's what I'm going to jump to. Spotify, and I think last year confirmed that they have Spotify alone has 60,000 tracks a day uploaded to their platform.
And that stat is from like a year and a half ago. I can't find the new stat.
Right.
It's got to be closer to 80,000 today, but I don't know the actual number. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Now for producers, we all laughed about this 6 years ago, and we talked about how producers, you can't make a living selling a $50 lease or $100. You can't make it, and we all laughed like, of course you can't do that. Fast forward.
Now you can.
Right. and I say that to say, if you've got 80,000, 70,000, they're getting the beats from somewhere.
Yes.
So how can a producer navigate today? Because again, I read an article, I think it was on The Ringer, about how like the type beat craze, when you make a Drake type beat, so and so type beat for $15, $20, people are making tens of thousands of dollars every single month off that.
Yes.
So with all that going on, it's kind of like the wild, wild west. How does a producer navigate in terms of making a living?
I think leasing beats is the way, but I got to tell you, as a professional in the music business, we never lease beats. So if we can't buy the exclusive rights, because the last thing I want to do is put out a brand new artist on a leased beat, and then Offset comes along and raps on it, and then I just lost $80,000 of marketing and promotion on a beat that somebody bigger, did even after us. It doesn't matter if it's after or before, it doesn't work. So if you're going to do this for a living, you've actually got to buy exclusive rights. But when you're coming up and you don't know if this is going to turn into a career, or just if you're doing this because you enjoy it and you just want to get thoughts off your chest and put music out, and you don't care who listens to it, leased beats are the way to go because they're affordable, and you get the rights right there. It's, there's websites for it. It's one shout out to BeatStars. It's been killing it.
Yeah, we had Abe on the show before. Shout out to Airbit too. They were helping us out too. So
that's right.
They're both pretty dope. But so do you think the producers should maybe like have separate beats for like when they're trying to get placements versus like, because you have to eat, right?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I would rather, if I'm trying to chase a dream, right, I can go be a telemarketer, work at McDonald's, or I can just lease beats and make money to survive.
I'd rather you lease beats because at least you're doing what you love.
Right.
Should there be two sets of beats? I don't think so, because you really don't know what a signed artist or an independent that has a budget is going to want. So I would hate for you to hold on to a beat that's exclusive when you could have leased it and made $1 million.
Right.
But I think that as artists get to know their sound and what they're looking for, a lot of artists want the producer to make a beat right there for them anyway. Yeah. So as you're building a relationship with the professionals as a producer, I think you just make beats that artist is gravitating towards. If there's a leased beat that they want and nobody has leased it yet, then why not sell it exclusively? If there's a beat that's, YouTube beats are the scourge of my existence, because every artist I work with finds a beat that they love.
Yeah.
And of course they found it because 200,000 people have already rapped on it.
Yeah.
And then they say, I want this. And then we're stuck having a producer, usually the one that made it, recreate something similar to go on that song, and it never sounds the same.
That's right.
It never works ever. And it's so frustrating because artists think, well, why can't I just have that? And it's like, you can't have that because 200,000 other people have rapped on it besides you. Yeah. And I'm not exaggerating that number. It's like, you know, you can see on YouTube exactly how many people have watched it and heard it and wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still though, we still see cases here and there where a song will come out with that exact beat and they bought exclusive rights to it, but yet there's like,
well, I hope they're not being scammed.
15 rappers that may have rapped over the beat, and now
that's definitely scamming.
It's got to be, because then exclusive means you're the only one,
you're the only
right?
one.
So if you've sold 10 leases, but I could
exclusive.
also, you know, I see where producers say, well, shit, I'm getting $50 for each lease, and you're willing to pay me $20,000. I could see where somebody might lie. I don't advocate for it, and I don't think they should.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of great with that though, right? Because producers will say, well, no, you know, okay, you want this beat, it's already out there, but you can have it, and I won't sell it anymore, and you can take it for.
I'm cool with that.
For X,
well, depending on who's rapped on it, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If I put that song out and I put a $50,000 budget behind it, and then the Migos drop a song on that same beat, I'm gonna be pissed, even though I have the exclusive rights.
Right.
So you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like a little bit murky.
It's a gray
now.
area.
Yeah, it's great, but I still feel like you shouldn't do it. Like, I feel like if it's non-exclusive, then that's what it is. That's what it is. Real. Like, I think that
and
creates,
make another beat.
Yeah, because it just creates for a mess. I mean, it's not saying that people don't do it and it can't be done. Right. It's just it creates more of a mess.
Actually, I had that problem with an established producer that I adore. We bought a beat that was exclusive, and then ironically, the Migos put it on a mixtape, and we had spent like 50 or 60,000.
Yeah.
And I called him and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like, Wendy, I'm so sorry. I'll make you 5 beats to replace it. And he did, and he made good, but I don't use that producer anymore.
Yeah.
Because what if that happens again?
Well, I will say this. I've had this happen to me before, and it wasn't based off of me doing business with 2 different people. It was the beats were all in a pack that was sent out.
That's what it was.
Exactly. So like that can tend to be an issue. Obviously, like, you know, you send out beats and people don't tell you that it made a project, or they didn't tell you that.
The artists don't always tell the producer.
That's right.
They just snatch it.
They end up taking it, using it, dropping it, mixtaping it, like, which is all unfair in the scheme of business. But I can see where that could really be an issue. What do you think about because we've been discussing the loop game, and we've had some projects come out here recently, and we look on there and then it says produced by like 8 people, which we already know is like practically impossible, especially from a royalty standpoint. Because like if we only gonna get this little 3% or 6% or whatever it is, how are we splitting that up with 8 people, and who is the actual producer type thing? So how do you feel about loops? Because it's a big part of what's going on right now.
It is, but I've actually not encountered that, because for our clients, we do 2 things. We accept their music that they've made prior to working with us, and then we just go and clear the tracks, so we haven't had that issue.
Yeah.
And then if we need production, we go to actual professional producers, like guys that we have relationships with.
For sure.
So I haven't really had to worry about that.
Yeah. I mean, we were concerned because, you know, like we said, I forget what we were listening to, but
how do I find 8 people to get 8 signatures?
Yeah, see, and that's what I don't.
How do I even do that?
Yeah. So what happens is, these loops are being made, and it turns out that, like, let's just say it's some guys over in Europe, and there's one guy that is like the name guy for it, but he uses 4 or 5 people to help him make the loops.
Right.
And then when it comes time to turn the record in, and you have to get, like you said, all of these signatures, now all of a sudden we have a gang of people that came out of it.
And the sad part is I'm probably not going to use that song unless that song is
absolutely incredible,
hit motherfucking record, and it never is. Yeah. But unless it's like a slam dunk, I can't even imagine using that track. I think I would replace the track.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Because if the business side is too difficult, I've replaced tracks because the producer's too hard to work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I've replaced tracks because somebody created the beat that in my past history has leaked records. You know, and it's like, okay, I can't take that risk that'll happen again.
Yeah.
What are some? Because it's a producer podcast, so I got to follow up on that question, on that answer. What constitutes a producer being difficult to work with?
A producer that's difficult to work with is somebody that either is too difficult in negotiating the contract or their lawyer is.
Okay.
I've not used tracks by like super producers because their lawyer is taking too long with the paperwork or they're asking for too much. Remember, when you're asking for an advance, it's an advance against your publishing, right? So you're making that money. It's just you're asking for an advance. So if I'm working with an independent and our whole budget is $50,000 and a producer wants 20, even, you know, it's even crazier than that. Like 25 or even 10 or even, you know, even 5 we can do, but it's I'd rather put that 5 into the song promotion and then pay you a bigger back end or pay you, you know, one of the things that labels do is they recoup, right? So sometimes producers never get they get the publishing checks, but they don't get the royalty that they should because the artist hasn't recouped.
That's right.
So maybe instead of asking for $50,000, you ask for 5 and you get paid from $1. You get paid before the artist recoups.
That's right.
There are things that you can do to work with people, but to just be like, nah, if I don't get my $50,000 up front, I'm not doing it. It's like, okay. Then you're not doing it, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen people fight over copyright, like, you know, who wrote on the song. Like, it's like it just gets messy. And when it gets like that, it just makes it difficult. So, yeah.
We put out a song for an indie artist and we had cleared it. It was a producer. He's since passed on from New Orleans. And he said that it was his track. He signed the paperwork. He took the advance. We put it out. We were at about 50 or 60,000 in promotion, and some guy out of Chicago popped up and gave us a copyright strike on YouTube. And I'm like, what's this? So I reached out to him. I'm like, what happened? He's like, that's my song. I'm like, are you sure? And he sent me the song. I could go on Spotify and see, you know, it was a song he had put out. It was for a reggaeton artist. And I could see it only had like 5,000 or 6,000 streams. So they didn't have a budget. But what had happened was the producer in New Orleans straight jacked that track from that other producer, thinking he'd never know. And my understanding is that happens all the time. I'm more afraid of that than I am 8 producers. You know, and my fear would be with 8 different names on a song, which one of you is going to step up and say you weren't paid properly, or we didn't have the rights to put that song out because we didn't include you in the credit, or, you know, something that really meant a lot to them, but didn't really impact the financial viability of the record, but slowed us down or stopped us. I'm more afraid of that.
Man, it's so crazy. I've seen all of these situations, man.
If it's hard, I'm not doing it. There's just too many. It's so oversaturated right now. There's just too many producers out here that make great music.
I've been in that situation before where I had a client and, you know, I had a producer, you know, that I was working with. And so they had a track and they reproduced it, which it was supposedly at the time it was because it was dated. And they were just like, we want to update it and make it sound more new. So going, see, and that's the thing. So then, so of course we made sure the person got paid, they got their fee up front and all that good stuff. And then as we were getting ready to release the record, then all of a sudden there was another person who was a part of that who surprise. And
I hate that shit.
Then that person wanted the same fee, everything, which rightfully so, I guess. But at the end of the day, it was like we had to do it out. We had to like scratch it, and we lost money on it because just the business was just janky.
Another thing that producers can be that makes them difficult is if they're not returning calls or they're not answering emails and you're trying to get a hold of them. This happens a lot on with YouTube beats, right? Like you can find the name of the person that put it up on YouTube, but maybe they put it up 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So their email address has changed, their phone number's changed. So we're doing we're stalking, through the internet trying to find this person because we want to purchase the beat and we can't find them, or we find them and there's no response. You know, if you're, I'm going to say it again, if you're difficult to work with, whatever that means, people just aren't going to work with you. And it's a very small industry, like at the top. So we all know who the difficult producers are. And you can kind of see it in their success.
Yeah, for sure. Something I've, been wanting to say to producers who are listening is, there's ways to send beats to people. Like you should always have like nowadays I would say put your IG in the in the memo metadata.
Yes, in the metadata, in the memo. Why would you not do that?
Put that in there, put the BPM of the record, put the key of the record, just all the information that a person would need because if you work in this industry, you know that like most of this creating goes down like on the fly. Yes. So you're in the studio, the artist says, pull up those beats, man, in my email. They're not connected to you.
That's exactly how it works.
And they just hear the beat. If they like it, they pull it down, they cut the record. Yep. And then if that data isn't in that, then you just you could very well take a loss at that point and just make a mess for yourself. So
happens all the time.
Yeah, that's kind
of. If you're going to be in this as a business to make money, treat it like a business.
That's right.
Don't treat it like a hobby.
That's right.
So the reason why I asked the question about producers being difficult is because one of the goals of this show is we want to kind of bridge that gap between artist and producer, because sometimes it seems like there's contention going on. Producers want to get paid, artists get mad if producers are sending out beat packs to everybody, if they're quote unquote difficult. Yeah. We want to bridge that gap. We want them to be more of a working relationship,
right.
With those. But sometimes we got to see the other side of it though, because the producer has their own perspective as well as the artist does.
Of course. Yeah. And it's funny because it's a production driven environment, right? Yeah. So the producer really matters to me. So there have been times where I'll tell a producer, okay, my client wants to use this beat, and they'll say, okay, how's $500? Okay, how's $1,500? Is that what you said? $1,500?
Yeah, right.
Because that's what they should be getting paid, right. And that's what the budget is. Yeah. And I try to be very fair because it's the track that we all hear first when we fall in love with the song. Yeah. In fact, for me, it takes a while before I even realize there's lyrics. Yeah. on a song. Yeah.
I listen that way as well.
Yeah. It's the groove. It's the vibe. Yeah. So I think there just needs to be more transparency and more fairness. And I think if you're going to do this for a living and make money, you really have to learn how it works. Yeah. And it's really that simple. You have to learn what's fair, what's not fair. You have to learn what aggravates people, what doesn't. And you have to learn how to talk to people. So if you're, if you got a beat and you're deserving of $20,000 for that beat, you need to explain why that is. You don't just tell somebody, well, fuck you, if you're not paying it, you can't have it. It's like, okay, well, if we buy 3 beats, can we get 3 for 45? Yeah. Instead of paying. There's always a compromise, and and sometimes it needs to be an explanation. It's like, I've been holding on to that beat for, I can't even, for Drake, and if I sell it to you, then I won't be able to sell it to Drake. Well, that's great if you've got access to Drake's camp. Yeah. Right. But if you just started producing yesterday and you don't know anybody in the music business and you're holding on to that beat for Drake, you might be cheating yourself out of the sale.
Right.
So it's really managing expectations, and it's really understanding the industry.
Yeah.
On the last podcast, you talked about leverage. If you don't have any leverage, you can't really do anything.
Yes.
And you're talking about ways a producer can get leverage.
Yes.
You mentioned off camera that your business has kind of changed in the last few years.
Oh my God, it's changed so much
since we had you.
Yeah.
I know in the past you've managed producers before. You've worked with producers. Do you work with any producers now?
I do not.
And what is your company do now exactly?
David Banner was the last producer that I managed, and that was 2003, 2005, somewhere in there. became oversaturated, and it became very difficult to make money representing producers. I felt like every A&R had their own producer signed to them. So I couldn't penetrate that in order to sell beats for producers. And then the artists all had their production company they had just started. You know, Jeezy was a great example of that, where he was using all of his in-house producers. That's right. As somebody that was trying to make a living representing producers, I couldn't make a living doing it. And I chose to stop rather than, you know, rip out all my hair or get a side hustle. So what my business has always been is helping artists put out music and make money with their music independently. Nice. And even if they want to go to a major label, they need that leverage. There's that word again. They need that leverage of having enough streams and enough shows and enough merch sold to be able to prove to the label that there's value in signing them. They have a fan base already in place. So I've been doing that since 1998.
Nice.
And that's always been my passion. Well, when COVID hit, I caught COVID really, really, really early. And I knew 5 people that had died already. And there was not a lot of information in March of 2020. So when I caught COVID, before it ran its course, I just knew I was going to die. I just knew it because I was less healthy than the people that died. I was older. My lungs were weaker. And I thought, this is it. Oh my God. and I was embarrassed by the fact that, like, of all the things that I've done in life, to be taken out by the flu, like, please, no, I want to be taken out by, you know, saving somebody's life or something grand, not the fucking flu because somebody ate a bat, you know? So, I got scared. And when I got better, and I had it very mild, you know, knock on wood, but I was so thankful. But what I realized in that genuine fear that gripped me of the fact that I could die was that I'm not done yet. I've got so much more that I want to do. So I restructured my company, and rather than doing it alone, I got office space and I started hiring a staff. And I would go out and get a client, and every time I got a client, I'd bring on a new employee. And I built a company so that, you know, now there's 8 of us. Nice. You know, and it's wonderful because I don't have to do everything myself anymore. The skill set has changed for me because instead of doing all the work myself, now I have to lead a team, and I have to make sure that the work is getting done, and I have to make sure that I've got the right people in place and that everybody's getting along and everybody's happy. So my skill, my wheelhouse has changed. I don't love it as much. I really prefer just doing marketing rather than being a leader. But the great thing is I've got people depending on me to help build their careers. And I'm very focused on my team and how they're doing and are they comfortable in their lives. And, you know, I want to teach them to make money the way I know how to make money, which is real estate. And although the market, it's really bad to flip right now, when it becomes feasible, I want to flip with my team and teach them how to do it so that they don't have to be dependent on just me for their income. They can, you know, they can, and that's the joy that I had coming up. If somebody came to me and said, I want to work with you, Wendy, and they had the budget, but the music wasn't there or the work ethic wasn't there, I never had to take that job to make money.
That's right.
I always had other ways that I could make money. So I was able to build my career based on what was best for the artist and what was best for my trajectory, instead of just, you know, jumping on board and having to take a client because I had to pay my rent or my mortgage or my car payment. So I've been really fortunate, and I want to pass that along to my team. You know, I want them to know that there are ways to make money out here, and you don't have to prostitute yourself or settle for second best in order to build your career. So what I'm turning, that's Power Moves, right? The team. We teach artists that have budgets how to make money with their music. We teach them hands-on, and we're doing it, you know, we're putting out their music. We're building millionaires, which is really exciting, but I want to scale up. I want to do it even bigger. And I want to build an incubator that's very artist centric, so that the artists that don't have investors and the artists that don't have $250,000, because most don't, let's be real.
Yeah.
I don't want to exclude people that have extreme talent. I want to bring them into the incubator and help build them. They're going to have some skin in the game, because I'm not just going to invest in people that bring nothing to the table. But if they're out there really working and they're building themselves and they're doing shows and they're doing what it takes to succeed, I want to bring them into the incubator. We can show them how to do it, and we can build superstars. And then at the end of 2 or 3 years, however long it takes, we can push them out of the nest so they can go off and do it on their own or sign to a label, whatever their choice is. But when they leave, I want them to take their ownership. I want them to take their publishing and their master ownership with them.
Yeah.
So that we're helping them to succeed, but we're not profiting off of them after they leave our company, our incubator. Well, I guess that's really an accelerator, but our world doesn't really know the difference, so I call it an incubator.
Yeah. I think that's really dope. I mean, you know,
it's necessary.
It's super necessary, because, you know, we all know it's fairly expensive to break yourself, or to, you know, to be broken as an artist.
Yes.
Like, you know, a lot of people they run from that conversation. It's like, listen, man, if you don't have a true investor, somebody that's got like some pretty deep pockets, there's a limit to what can be done.
Exactly.
You know, and no matter how great you are, you still have to be discovered in some fashion.
Exactly.
By someone with some deep pockets. You know what I mean?
And they have to have an understanding. I'm working with an artist in the Bay Area called La Russell. And La Russell's amazing.
I love that kid.
Right? Me too.
Look, come on.
Me too.
I get it.
Me too. But the labels don't, right?
Yeah.
And the labels are coming at him right now, and he's like, Wendy, handle this for me, because I'm busy. I can't do this and that, and this matters more to me. So I'm fending off the labels, and they don't understand what he's doing. It's like he's got an entire like coalition of artists that are coming up with him, and he's helping people as he grows, you know, for free. He's doing this for free. And the labels are like, oh, you know, we'll offer him money, and then he can sign the artist to himself, and, you know, he can have ownership. And it's like, okay, you really don't understand. Like, are you watching him? Yeah. Like, are you paying attention?
He's all about his fans and like fan engagement.
He's not that dude. Like, he's not going to be swayed. He's making $1 million a year. He's not going to be swayed by your little $500,000 offer.
That's right.
And you think that he doesn't know what he's doing, and you're, you know, I was in a Zoom call with a label that told him he could be the next Drake, and I know how he thinks, and I'm just like holding my mouth. And we got off the call, and he said, "Okay, don't ever talk to them again." Yeah, he's like, "I don't want to be the next Drake. There already is a Drake. Have they watched me? Do they know what I'm about?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I want to be the La Russell."
That's it, man.
And I'm like, dude, you're brilliant. They just have to see your brilliance.
Yeah,
let's just keep going.
He's definitely on to something, because like
he's amazing.
That whole like, he's got like this garage band rap energy that's just like, yo, I will rap wherever I'm at. Right. And people are fucking with me.
They are. He built a stage in his backyard. Excuse me, it's called a pergola. This is how I learned what a pergola is.
Come on,
right?
Man.
He built a stage in his family's home in the backyard in Vallejo, and he does shows every weekend. He does multiple shows in the backyard, and people are paying. It's pay what you want. And because the backyard doesn't hold that many people are paying like $100, $200, $300, and they're buying merch and they're supporting him. Like I said, he's making $1 million a year.
It's kind of
doing
crazy.
This.
Listen, and he's the one who's also doing like the fans come in on the masters type of stuff, like people buying into his.
Yes.
This dude is brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got a gold card. I don't want to like give away all his secrets, but he's got a gold card, right? Where you buy the gold card. I think it's like $100. It's like a subscription service.
Yeah.
And you save a percentage on all of your merch.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy a lot of La Russell merch, you know to get the gold card. And people are going around flashing his gold card like, I'm a member. And I'm looking at it, you know, here in Atlanta, like, holy shit, this is cool.
It's cool. And you know, so many people talk that shit, but they don't know how to execute it. There's that whole, you know, get yourself 1,000 fans and like get those, you know, just feed those people and people talk that shit, but
he's doing it.
He's doing it. And so many
he's
people
helping other artists do it too.
It's kind of crazy.
He just bought a warehouse, and it's a content creation space.
Come on, man.
And anybody that he respects, and it's based on he doesn't have to like you as a person, but your music has to be good.
Yeah.
Because he's tired of bad music, or what he thinks is bad music.
Yeah.
So you can go and use his space for free, and the price of admission is just having good music.
Be dope.
And he'll help you. He'll help you shoot content, and he'll show you how to edit. And like what he's doing is just he's like the rapper version of me. And when we met, it's like we bonded over helping people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's what it should be.
Being a service.
That's
Yes.
super dope.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's super dope.
So yeah,
I'm speechless, man, because that shit is really dope.
but there's, again, in 2022, there's a lot of ways to kind of, I don't want to say skin a cat. It's a bad.
No, that's it. There's a lot of ways to be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the way that I do it, or you do it, or you do it is not necessarily right or wrong. It's just what we know.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to succeed, and I'm just very vocal with my way because it works. It works for me. It works for my clients. You know, it's sort of like it's a proven theory. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And whether somebody chooses my way or your way, it doesn't matter as long as they get there, or even doing it themselves. But the problem with doing it yourself is you're going to bang your head.
Yeah.
You know, I've already banged my head so that nobody else has to.
That's
Right.
You know?
That's dope.
So I guess it's more of a thing of like, since there's so many ways, there's really, if you really want this, you should be able to just go out and get it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I could argue that if you really want this, you can. But
Yeah.
you have to learn how it works, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to surround yourself with people that will help you get there.
Yeah.
Not people that are going to just take a free ride or slow you down. You know, if you've got an entourage, they shouldn't be on stage with you. They should be in the crowd spread
Working,
out.
right.
Like not only just working, but like egging you on so that the fans next to them are like, oh yeah,
Right.
look at this energy. Yeah, I'm with you. And all of a sudden the crowd is amped up.
That's
and you
right.
look bigger than life.
I heard you all talking about South by Southwest on your podcast, the cheat code, and one of the co-hosts was talking about if the artist is wearing like designer stuff and designer sneakers instead of like promotional material.
Lost opportunity.
Right,
Lost
you know,
opportunity.
Yes.
if they got shoes on it, you can't walk in. Obviously, you can't walk a mile in them shoes. You ain't there
Right.
to work.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
But if
you
the-
saw I came in today and I took off my Dior's, right? I don't have my shoes on because they hurt my feet.
Come on.
But they're fly.
That's right.
But that's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
I mean, it's crazy because some of the things that you think people should just already know, it really
don't.
It has to be taught.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you exist.
Thank you.
You are very important.
Thank you. I learned that over COVID.
Yeah.
Because I started going down the road of mental health because I didn't think I needed to teach that. I didn't think people needed to hear that. And people need to hear how to be a good person.
Yeah.
How to return phone calls, how to say please and thank you.
Come on.
That was my last question because I was looking at my questions here. Mental health.
It's like I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on that because you talked about, in one of your podcast episodes about how, you meditate to deal with your mental health, how you're stressed a lot, and which we don't want you stressed. We hope that, we want you to be comfortable and happy every day. But how do you help your clients and your staff deal with their mental health? Because it's crazy out here. You never know what somebody's going through.
Yes.
You never know when they're at their breaking point. So how do you manage that with your clients and staff?
So with my staff, I always do it one-on-one. I never single somebody out. I never embarrass them. I never do it like at the office where it could make them uncomfortable, but I'll call them and like find out how they are. Like I have a somebody on my staff that has a very dysfunctional family, and I come from a dysfunctional family, and this person had a scare with one of their family members and went to see this family member in the hospital, and I knew that it was really hard for him or her, and I stayed by my phone because I knew that at some point the text was going to come like, wow, this is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I made sure that I felt like I was on call, and they don't know this, right? Like I felt like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to choose to watch an old movie today rather than go out and run errands or whatever I was going to do because I know this is coming.
Yeah.
You know? And I think sometimes people just need an ear to listen and somebody that has been through shit that can give advice. Like I come from a dysfunctional family, so I know what it feels like to go visit somebody in the hospital and not know what to say.
Yeah.
Like they're laying there and you're like, okay, hi.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're not in that situation, it's easy to think of shit, you know? Tell them about your kids, tell them what you've been working on, tell them, you know, where you've traveled lately. It's like, oh yeah, I have all this shit to talk about that I'm not thinking of. And that really matters for me with my team. For me and my mental health, I'm very in tune with my body. I'm very in tune with how I feel. I don't always know what causes a reaction, but I know when I'm not reacting properly. I get massages regularly. That's a recent thing. That's like in the past maybe 3 years, right? Because prior to that, I couldn't stand the thought of somebody I don't know touching me. Yeah. Like even somebody doing this was like, but I got over that, and I've learned to accept massages, which calm me down. Foot massages especially are very relaxing for me. And then the great thing about apps is there's the Calm app. I just joined a new app. One of the massage therapists that I went to told me about a company called Newcom, and Newcom have these discs that you put on your wrist. I should have worn one today. I actually took it off because I was wearing it because I didn't sleep well last night, and it calmed me down. And I should have worn it today so that I could show you. And I thought you might like judge me, so I didn't. I didn't wear it today because I'm dealing with a lot of people. You know, it's podcast day, so there's 9 people that were filming us, and then I had to do this. I'm like, let me not look like that woo woo weirdo, But it's this disc, and and I'm kind of testing it out, so I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't know for sure that it works, and I don't want to lead somebody to go spend this kind of money if it doesn't work. But it's an app where you listen to music that affects your brain waves, and then you put this disc on your arm, and it's got all these different circuitry in it, and it helps the blood and the circuits that they're called gamma or JABA. Okay, I'm really fucking up this explanation, but I noticed in not sleeping well last night that when I woke up this morning and I was tired and I was cranky, I wanted to kick my dog. That's kind of, and I would never kick my dog, right? Gangster's amazing, but I looked at him like, you're way too happy. I want to kick you. I was just cranky from lack of sleep. So I meditated and I put the disc on, and it calmed me right down. But it didn't make me tired. It gave me like restorative sleep. And I'm like, that's exactly what this is supposed to do.
That's dope.
So I'm testing it out, and then once I find out whether it's just me thinking it works and that's why it works, which is fine, or whether it really works, I'll talk more about it. But it's that kind of stuff has been great for me. Yeah. And I'm always trying new stuff. I've got all these weird gadgets at home that I strap to my head that help brain waves, and because I'm somebody that in the past I have fought depression, and I won't take pills, so I can't just take Zoloft and be fine. So I have to alter my diet, and I have to find alternative medicine that helps me balance out and not become like a freak of nature and start yelling at people in traffic. Yeah. Because I can go there. Yeah. I don't want to be that person, but I can go there.
It's very important. We just want everybody out there to really do what's necessary, because it seems like everybody's getting pushed to their brink in this world. And,
yes. And we're shooting each other right now. Like, it's really scary. The amount of deaths, not just Atlanta, like all over the country since COVID, like we don't have conflict resolution skills. Yeah. We get mad and we shoot, and then we're serving life because we got mad for
15 seconds
of dumb shit.
Yeah, facts.
Okay, one more question. I know that was the last question, but it's just the very last question for me. Gotta ask this because we're talking about the world, what's going on, and you're a thought leader. We said that in our last podcast, how you're a thought leader. So with hip hop now, with the lyrics being used against rappers, and me and Will debate a lot about about separating the content from the actual lifestyle. Like the content could be aggressive, but we don't have to like actually live it every day. What are your thoughts on the current state of hip hop in terms of lyrics being used against rappers, and also rappers actually perpetuating the lifestyle that they're rapping about, which they probably shouldn't do, because like Robert De Niro is not going to turn into Nicky Barnes or I don't know, whoever he played. Yeah, you know, vice versa. So what are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's been a problem since rap began. You know, I was just reading an article that Ice-T was on like Jimmy Fallon or some show, and he was saying that he didn't know it wasn't real, and that goes back to the late 80s, the early 90s. You know, he didn't realize that the houses were rented and the cars were rented and the jewelry you put on before the video, and then somebody came and took it back after the video. You know, so it's since time began, we've had this problem. You know, Tupac was fighting a case because some kid heard his lyrics and shot somebody, you know? So this is not new shit. So the fact that, you know, I started listening to rap in 1980, you know, back when I used to ride my dinosaur to work or school or wherever I was going. But it's been an ongoing problem and we still haven't figured it out. And I think if you're an artist and you're talking in your lyrics about what you really do, you have two choices. You can either talk about other shit that's not true, so that if they try to use your lyrics against you as truth, you can point to the ones that aren't true. Yeah. Like you can talk about how you shot the president or, you know, whatever. Or shut the fuck up and don't snitch on yourself. You have two choices, right?
Yeah.
So we can try to change the system. We've been trying since 1980 to change the system where people took rap lyrics out of context. And I can argue that it's racism. It's really not. It's not, you know, rock guys, if they talk about beating up their mom, they don't use their lyrics against them, right? So we realize what it really is. We all know what it really is. Thanks. So until we solve that problem, and I don't see us solving racism in my lifetime. I hope we do. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it coming.
Yeah.
Until we solve it, learn what the rules are and learn how to get around them. We're so good at that in every other aspect.
Yeah.
You know, we embrace things in hip hop. You know, we have the best scammers. We have, you know, we have the best tech. We have the best hackers. We stay ahead of the curve on so many things. Why can't we stay ahead of the curve on the law?
That's right.
Like, why do we have to go to jail or die?
Yeah.
It just, it dumbfounds me.
Well, I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave it at that.
This was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, so where can we find you? Like, you know, tell us where everything Wendy Day is.
Well, everything Wendy Day is actually at wendyday.com. That's the one place everybody can go. But if you're looking for free value, and you should be, because this is a very expensive industry, so you should get as much free as you can. You should check out my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/thisiswendyday. And you should check out the new series that I'm doing on TikTok now, which is really a challenge for me because I'm not a TikTok person, but I'm learning how to do short bursts of information to help folks on TikTok. And I've been doing it, I think I'm about 2 weeks in, and my team is really doing all the heavy lifting, thank God, because it's really, really hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't mastered it yet, but I'm going to if it kills me. So you can go to my TikTok, which is at Rap Coalition. But I spend most of my time, like if you're trying to interact with me directly, personally, I spend most of my time on Instagram. There is a glitch in my Instagram. I do not get direct messages. I'm really glad. I've never tried to fix that because why would I want them?
Yeah.
But I do engage with people. Sometimes I'm too busy and I might miss a post. But for the most part, if you reach out to me and you post that you're looking to have a conversation with me and what you want to talk about makes sense, meaning it's not something you could just go and watch a video, but you want to hear it from my mouth. No, go watch the video. But if you're trying to do business or you're trying to hire our company, then absolutely talk to me in the comments. You don't have to put it all in there. You don't have to put your phone number or your email address, but just let me know that you're trying to get a hold of me and why, and I'll see it and I'll reach out, unless you're just trying to get a hold of me like on some let's work or put me on, those phrases don't exist in Wendy language, so right. I won't respond.
Do you still have the was it a newsletter or the text messages?
I have both. I have the text messages. I don't use them as much as I should, but my team has just put together a plan for me so I could be more proactive.
Those texts are amazing.
And thank you.
The Meet 'em conference.
Yes.
You sent out a text message, and they're so personal. Hey, Brian, this is Wendy.
Check out Meet 'em for free online.
For free.
Here's the link. Yeah.
I probably still got it in my messages right now. Those are always helpful.
I'm glad you said that because now I'll do it more. I always felt a little intrusive because when people text me, it drives me nuts. So I'm glad you said that.
Well, I always felt weird because I didn't want to say thank you back. I didn't know if it was really, I don't know if to say thank you, but I was really appreciative though.
Yeah, you can say thank you. I'll actually say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the newsletter is weekly. The newsletter is basically me talking about what's going on immediately in my life. Like this week, I'm talking about an NFL player that just hired us, and I'm really excited about that. And then it's a link to about 15 different articles that I've read during that week that will help you grow your career. So it's really been a lot of fun. I think I need to actually start a website where I put the newsletter, because a lot of people don't want another email to arrive, but they want the content.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll start like wendysnewsletters.com and then post them there as well as send them. So the folks that don't want incoming emails can actually
those
benefit.
texts are amazing. Whenever I see Wendy there, I know it's something helpful.
Thank you.
It's going to be behind that
It's always
text
helpful and it's always free.
message. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Super dope.
Thanks for saying that. That
It's the truth.
Thank you.
Wendy Day.
That helps.
Wendy,
Thanks.
thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We know you're very busy, and I know that this was just love coming out here.
It absolutely was. And you can also thank Deborah Manis Gardner, because she all the time says to me, you guys are in the same city. Why aren't you spending more time together? Like, she actually harasses me about that. It's like, you're right. We are in the same city.
Yes.
Damn.
That's super dope.
So when you asked, I'm like, I gotta go. I
thank you so much.
My
for
pleasure.
Real. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Game.
And thanks for doing this, guys. I know you don't make money doing it.
Yeah.
So I love, keep it up. Keep going.
Thank you.
Thank
FreeGame
you.
Podcast.